Children are terrible at learning languages. If you don't know me, my name is Hamid. I'm 15 years old and I started learning Spanish around 3 years ago. Actually, exactly 3 years ago almost, which is when I discovered at least language learning. It was the summer of 2022 where I decided to really lock in and start studying Spanish seriously. And here's how I sounded before that summer.
Hola, estoy comiendo comida. Voy a mejorar mi español.
Y bueno, ahora voy a seguir hablando en español para que te pueda mostrar que hablo español. Bueno, so I've seen this thing go around where everyone thinks that kids are actually good at learning language or children are good at learning languages because that's how it appears. Let me tell you a quick story. The whole method that I learned Spanish through was, firstly I tried Duolingo and I tried like learning in school and I tried the regular methods. That didn't work. I made like no progress. Then I found different YouTubers like Xiaoma and this guy named Language Lords. And the way they learned were they essentially immersed, like put themselves into the shoes of a kid in Spain or in a Spanish speaking country. They studied through watching either native content or speaking with natives or just immersing themselves in natives in any way possible. That is how they both learned. One of them, Xiaoma, said he got like fluent in 20 days he got fluent relatively quickly. He made a video where he just spoke in Spanish. And this other guy, Language Lords, he got fluent in about 44 days. And whether or not they were lying or not, I saw that around 3 years ago and I was super surprised because it was really impressive what they did, right? First I was kind of like, I had doubts if they were lying or not, but I prevailed and I actually took their methods of how they learned and I created my own methods through them, such that during the summer of 2022, I would hyperfixate on those methods because my goal was to get fluent in that summer. And the reason why was because I had told all my friends and everyone at school that I was going to get fluent that summer. And so there was like this pressure to do it. And the reason why I even did that was because this YouTuber named Xiaoma, he also did it and he got fluent in like 30 days. So my idea was like, oh, let me just replicate what he did. So during that summer, I hyperfixated on that. And in the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't do much, but nearing the end of the summer, because I got a sense of urgency that I had to like start studying and actually get fluent, I hyperfixated on those methods. And after studying using those methods for that summer, I spent around a total of 120 hours studying. And I also went on Hello Talk, which is an app for like speaking with people that speak Spanish. And I started speaking with natives, and I remember one day, literally like before school would start, like a week before school would start, I had like an hour-long call with a native Spanish speaker. And by the time I got off the call, I was in awe. I was like, damn, I just did that. The real way that I got fluent was essentially how we got fluent as kids. Because the method included that as kids, and this is what I talk about in these videos, as kids, we are immersed in language, right? We listen to our parents, which are native speakers, and then we try to understand them. And then we speak and we imitate our parents, because kids always imitate their parents, right? Like, my stepbrother, when I made a joke, he would repeat that joke over and over again, right? You become very similar to your parents, or at least people above you. So as kids, we imitate our parents and they're natives, and we speak like them, and we understand them because we're listening to them all day and every day. And so that's pretty much what Language Lords and Xiaoma did. And that's what my method included, was literally that. I would watch native Spanish content and then I would try to speak like that. I would speak like in my free time and try to imitate the natives. And then also I would watch native Spanish content and I would try understanding what they were saying. And so I call these two exercises now transcript training and narrate, elaborate, and contemplate. And these are like the methods that I teach on this channel. And so I teach how I got fluent in 120 hours of studying on this channel. And I remember there's one comment, I'll put it up here. In my video, I talked about how like we should learn how we learn as kids, because the one fact that you know is that you are fluent in your own native language, and so we should do what we did before to get fluent. And he said in the comment, I don't remember exactly, but he said like kids have had 10 years or plus to learn languages. And then I wrote back, which what I'm trying to explain in this video, which is essentially kids are stupid. And this is no shade to anyone. Although we think that children are good at learning languages, it is an actual myth. It is one of the biggest myths on earth, literally. In a 2016 study, I'm gonna link it in the description so you can see it for yourself. This study is essentially just about children and adults, which one's better at learning languages. And here it says, adults outperform children on all tasks. Literally, because of course they did, right? Children's brains aren't that developed. Actually, I bet you a random adult that spends 2 years learning a language will do better than a 5-year-old who has been learning his language his entire life. By the way, that 5-year-old has had complete immersion in that language 24/7. every single day of his life, he's lived in that language. And I guarantee you, a 5-year-old will have worse English than an adult that studied English for 2 years. Right? Like even me, my Spanish isn't perfect at all. I've studied a total of maybe 200 hours in terms of fully studied. And most of those are like like I said, in the summer of 2022. And I'm able to have a fluent conversation. I'm able to, converse. I'm able to speak about whatever I want. I honestly guarantee you, put me up against a 5-year-old who's been learning Spanish for 5 years with complete immersion. And I guarantee you, I'll probably have better Spanish than him. Why? Because even though I'm not even an adult, I'm 15, children have a worse cognitive ability than adults. It's just that simple. Children's brains aren't as developed as adults. And so this is obvious, right? So then where did this idea that kids are good at learning languages come from? The reason why kids learn languages seemingly faster than adults is not because of a superior knowledge or a superior brain method or a superior cognitive ability. No, but it's actually inferior. It is because of a superior method. Because the way children learn languages is superior to how we normally learn languages. Because the way we normally learn languages is through memorization and Duolingo and Babbel and Anki and these regular, like the sphere of learning languages. Or we have, in school, the teacher puts up a big table of all the conjugations. And like, personally, when I applied the method that kids use to get fluent, applied that method, I got fluent in 120 hours of studying. Which, by the way, that's 18 minutes a day for a year. And if we're talking about months, that's 4 weeks, no? Yeah, that's literally 1 month of 8 hours a day. And if we're talking about actual time, that's like 5 days. Or it's less than a week of total hours. And so the method children use works. The reason why children get fluent seemingly faster than us adults, I'm not an adult, but you get my point, is because of the method they get fluent. Because I applied this method, I got fluent in 120 hours of studying. Shauma applied this method, he got fluent in 20 days. Language Lord applied the method, and he got fluent in 44 days. And sure, you can sit there and say, no, it's not true, but there's literally studies to prove it. Children are genuinely, way worse than adults at, languages. It is just a fact. Even though they've had 5-10 years of studying and complete immersion in the language, their linguistic ability is somehow worse than someone who's been studying for a few months. The only reason they get fluent faster is because us adults, or as adults, we are using an inferior method. We're using a method that doesn't work. And I tried it. It didn't work. But when I tried the method that the kids use, I got fluent in Spanish in way faster than anyone else. Apparently it takes 600 hours of studying for a regular person. I got fluent in 120. What is that? That's 4 times as fast. It's both of them have a disability, okay? The children are just stupid in terms of their brain hasn't developed, but they're using a good method. And the adults are smart, but they're much smarter. Their brains have developed, but they're using a stupid method. And notice how the method affects the rate of learning the language. The children somehow learn the language faster than the adults, even though the adults are smarter, because their method is garbage. And that is the method that I'm preaching against, this Duolingo. People have spent thousands of days on a 1,000-day streak on Duolingo and they're still not fluent. Or Anki, they do crazy Anki decks for specifically learning Spanish. I don't know how it goes with other languages, but I'm very sure that it's very similar in terms of most languages, at least. Certain languages like Chinese and Arabic might be exceptions because those are the really hard, they have their own, they're their own thing. But when it comes to Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, right, these types of languages that we learn in school as a secondary or third language, it is genuinely crazy how people keep saying that children are good at languages. No, they're not. They're not. And I realize this now after getting fluent in Spanish. But before I even did, the same YouTuber Shauma, he made a video explaining it, and that is what inspired this video for me to talk about this, because it was a topic that people had also commented on my channel. Here's the video.
The idea that children are good at learning languages is complete and utter nonsense, and here's why. Here's my baby. He's amazing and I love him, but he's 8 months old and he can't even speak 1 word of English. By contrast, I learned to have a simple conversation in Korean in 24 hours, conversational Yoruba in 7 weeks, and decently fluent Spanish in 3 months. And I bet you could too with the right focus. But he's just a baby. Well, here's how much English a typical 5-year-old can speak.
This is a book.
And that's the result of 5 years of non-stop 24/7 immersion in an English-speaking environment with literally nothing to do but speak English. Now, if you gave any normal adult 5 years to learn English in a similar environment, I can guarantee you they would be speaking English better than any American 5-year-old. In fact, Hollywood actress Ana de Armas did it in 2.
When I moved to LA 2 years ago, I didn't speak English at all. So forgive me if I make mistakes or I say something
You
weird.
didn't speak English at all?
No.
Indeed, according to Dr. Karen Lichtman of Northern Illinois University, the main reason we have this impression that kids are so good at learning languages is because of, quote, the amount of time they're exposed to the language. According to a 2016 study, adults, quote, outperform children on all tasks when given the same amount of time to learn a new language.
So yeah, that study that he mentioned is the same study I'm talking about. I found that exact study, so I'll link it in the description. And if you want personal one-on-one coaching with me, where I'll teach you Spanish the way I got fluent, again, using this method that children use, which is why we think that they're superior, then just check the description, and hope this video helped you, bro, and stay humble.